welcome to today's video. So today's video is very exciting. I am doing a full-on thorough review of the new Essence 6-pan collection. I've got all 6 of them and they're all different shade schemes and it's really awesome. I initially was gonna do a first impressions of this collection, but I do first impressions a lot and I sometimes really like to sprinkle in some reviews, and I'm trying to get better about doing reviews and really thoroughly like investigating the product and trying it out. I wanted to do a review on this instead of a first impression so I could really tell you how they perform, the pigmentation of these shadows, the blendability, the price, pros, cons. So I have all 6 of them here. They each retail for $3.99, so they're very inexpensive. They're all different shade schemes. We've got like neutrals and purples and greens and coral and red and blue, and it's really, I think it's just a really neat collection. So I'm gonna go through each of these, tell you what I like and what I don't like, or what I think could be improved upon. Just tell you overall if these are just great drugstore palettes or if these really do compete with like higher end palettes. So let's start off with Taupe It Up. These are all named after songs. So I don't know what Taupe It Up is. I've been trying to brainstorm and figure out. I'm a very musical person, so I feel like I should know this. But I don't know if it's supposed to be like Pump It Up or something like that. But the rest of them, like the songs that they're named after and their names, they're very similar, so it's very easy to figure out. But I don't know what they were going for. At first I thought it might be like Dope It Up, but then I don't think that's a song. Wow, I just got on a rampage. Anyway, so this is what it looks like on the inside. Super pretty. You've got like obviously just a champagne-y, almost silvery champagne-y shade. We've got grays. We've got like a perfect crease shade, outer corner, a lid. Each of these come with like a light white or something of the sort to kind of start, sorry that the sun's right there, to kind of start your look off right and just like lay down a neutral base. So this is obviously my favorite. If you know me at all, you know that I am huge into neutrals. I think this is the perfect palette. I would travel with this and nothing else. I would have used this on my wedding day because I think it's a perfect bride scheme, like a bridal look scheme. And it's like so inexpensive, so it'd be great if you were on a budget getting ready for a wedding, even if you were a bridesmaid or you know, you just wanted something a little bit more demure and not so obvious. I think this is the prettiest. And I didn't have any problems with this one at all. We did have some issues in a couple of the other ones, which I will get to. But with this one, these blend out so pretty. The shimmers look really nice with a brush and with your finger. I typically use fingers when I'm putting on shimmers just because I find it easier and quicker. But because of this video, I did also try shimmers with a brush and I found that I did not have any problems in this palette. And I really don't have any complaints with this one. This is the one that I'm gonna be using the most from here on out. Obviously, because it is so up my alley, it's perfect. I love it. I think it would look good with any eye color and you could really wear it with any outfit and stuff like that. So that is my favorite. The next one I'm gonna talk about is I like to Mauve It, Mauve It. This is what I'm talking about with the song names. This one's very easy to tell that this is named after I Like to Move It, Move It. So the rest of these shade names are very obvious to what song they are referencing. This is obviously like a mauve purple toned palette. I really like this one. It's got this beautiful shade that I really enjoyed using on the outer corner, this one in the crease, and once again you can see that we also have this one that goes all over the lid to maybe kind of neutralize or set your eye base if you do that, which I typically do. And this one was my second favorite. I really loved, every single time I wore this, I loved the way it looked. I think they're kind of stretching it a little bit with the name Mauve It, Mauve It, because I find this to be very, very purple, but we do have some mauve shifts in these shades, so I think it works. I think it works all right. I love the way these shimmers work. I love the way the mattes work. Just like the Taupe It Up palette, very easy to work with. I didn't have any problems with the pigmentation and the blendability. So then the next one we have is Coral Me Maybe, and this one was my third favorite. The reason I put this at third is because I'm not one who usually wears a lot of coral on my eyelids. It's something that I have to really be in the mood for, but I think this is a perfect like summer palette, and I know a lot of people like this kind of shade scheme, like this kind of like color shade, that I know a lot of people like this kind of color scheme, like with the coral and stuff. I think these are just the prettiest in terms of like the scheme in this palette. I really feel like they captured the coral thing. I think that this matches the name of the palette a little bit better than I like to Mauve It, even though I love the I like to Mauve It one. These are very, very easy to blend. We've got this one, it's like a gold with like a coral shift. This one's very corally, and then this one is a very unique color. It's almost got like a gray-ish shift with coral, and I really think that that is a color that I don't have in any of my collection, and I have a lot of eyeshadow. And then obviously you see this one, it could be for setting your eye before going in with the rest of the shades. So I think this is really pretty. I really do enjoy this. This is a very pigmented brown, by the way. I use this on my lash line and on my outer corner, and it really worked nicely. And I didn't have any problem blending it in, and it wasn't patchy or anything like that. So then my next favorite, because of the color scheme, is Dancing Green. I think this is so pretty. We have this beautiful emerald green here, and I don't have that in any of my palettes. And I really, really like this. I also really, really like this shade. My only complaint with this palette is that I do find that this can sometimes be a little patchy. I've had it, it's almost inconsistent in its performance. Like sometimes I find that this blends very easily and I don't have any problems. And then there's been other times where this has been incredibly hard to blend and it takes me a lot longer to get my eye makeup on, and I like the finished result and I like the way it looks, but sometimes it can take a while to get there. So I give this one, like the rest of them I would give like a 10 out of 10. This one I would probably give like a 6 out of 10 or a 7 out of 10. And mostly the reason I'm giving it a higher ranking is because the shades are unique for me. Like I don't have these, and I think you can definitely make them work. It just might take a little bit longer. So I do think that this one is a little bit patchier than the other ones that I've talked about. Also, something to note, I've heard that people think these smell like vanilla. I think that they smell exactly like Maybelline Sensational lipsticks, like the traditional ones that have been around forever that have that very distinctive smell. This is what these shadows smell like, just not as potent. It's not as strong and like sickening and nauseating. Just a random thought. So then we have Bronzed This Way. Obviously this is named after the song Walk This Way. And as you can guess, it's a pretty bronzy palette. We have some reds, some golds and browns. I really, really love this shade down here. I think this is the coolest shade. It's just very unique. It's almost like a muted crimson, and I really like that. And it goes really nicely with this one. And the clip that I filmed for this, I believe that I used this on the outer corner and this on the lid, and I really enjoyed it. I think I also used this in the crease. But this is a really pretty palette. I don't have nearly the inconsistency in blendability and patchiness. Like there's not really any patchiness on this for me so far as there was in the Dancing Green. Also, this one has this really pretty shade, and it's not coming across as pretty on camera as it is in person, but it's like a metallic-y kind of shade. And a couple of these have that. The Bronzed This Way one has it, the one that I'm talking about. And then this one, it seems like the darker ones are the ones that have like the metallic-y shade. So the metallic-y one in this one is this like gold one right here. It's like a gold green. Very interesting. I do think that the metallic is really pretty, although I do think that they can crumble a little bit on your face. I really do like this one. This one's really pretty. I think I'm going to be using this one a lot during the fall. Now that it is officially fall, I'm very excited. Side note, I'm so excited. Okay, I really, really like this shade range. I think it's so pretty. And I also like that they didn't just have a bunch of different shades of gold, but they have one gold, one kind of like browny red, and then like a muted crimson shimmer, and I really like that. And then we have, of course, the 3 mattes, the lid, the crease, and then the outer corner, or you could use them however you wanted to. But I really do like this one as well. And then lastly, we have Ice Ice Baby, which is this blue one, and I actually wore this in a foundation first impressions. I think it was the L'Oreal Serum Foundation, or Tinted Serum, whatever it's called. And it kind of came across as gray, but it's blue, and here's what it looks like. But we do have some grays, as you can see, and the shimmer shades are all like a gray tone. But I think, I really do love the color scheme of this palette. This is my all-time favorite shade. It's like a slate blue grayish with it like a gray undertone, you know? And then we have this like navy royal blue mixture. It's almost in between the two. It's not quite like stark royal blue or stark navy. It's almost in between. And I think that these are unique shades. This, like the Dancing Green one, has occasionally been patchy. It's inconsistent in how it works. Sometimes I can be done with my eye look as quickly as I can be done with my eye look if I'm using a palette like this, which is very neutral and easy. But other times, like when I recorded the clip for this video, I was having a really hard time getting it to blend. And I just couldn't get this one to not be stuck on the outside. And it looked more pigmented on one eye than it did on the other one, and it was really irritating me. I was really annoyed by it, which sucks because I do think that this is a really neat palette, and I love the different colors that they have going on here. And as you can see, it does have a metallic-y, deep charcoal gray right here, and I do think that one's really pretty. I played with that one a little bit, but I didn't feature it in my clip because I was just playing with it like off camera. But it is really pretty. I'm not one who wears a lot of dark shimmer shades on my eyelids, but it is nice to have on hand. And this is definitely the darkest of the metallic shades, so this is the one I was the most scared of per se. But I did really enjoy this. I think it's got this really pretty like bluish gray. They all have like a little bit of a hint of like the color that they're based around. So like all the shades, like we have Taupe It Up, so like the taupey shades in here, like the shimmers have a little bit of taupe and some gray. And like the bronze this way, it's got like, you know, some browns with red or with bronzy shades. So it's definitely like surrounding what the name of the palette is supposed to be. The only one I felt like was a little bit stretching it on the name was, of course, I like to mauve it. But it still brings in some mauves, but it's definitely a little bit more purple based. This one was my least favorite because of how inconsistent it was. The dancing green wasn't as consistent as this one was. This one was the most inconsistent, and it was this particular shade, which I think sucks because I think it's a beautiful shade. And they do have some pigmentation and they do have some blendability, but sometimes they can be patchy, and it's really weird how it can be inconsistent, especially since I was using the same eye base every single time I was trying these palettes out. So those are my individual thoughts. I did like tell you about them in the order that I liked them, which is not shocking that it went from the most boring to the least boring in terms of like, you know, the shade scheme. But I really do like these. They have a lot of quality for the price, and I love the fact that each of them comes with a decent sized pan and a full mirror that is the same size as the palette. In terms of if these compete just with other drugstore, I'm not bashing drugstore. Drugstore is my favorite. I prefer it over high-end usually. But I'm going to answer the question, does it only compete with other palettes that might be close in price at the drugstore, or does it also compete with higher-end palettes that, you know, are going to cost you at least $45 or something like that? I will say that I think that these compete with higher-end palettes, even the ones that are patchy, because if I'm being honest, the only high-end palette that I have tried, and I have tried a lot of high-end palettes, but the only high-end palette I believe that the more vibrant or deeper shades perform better than the ones that I was having inconsistencies in these two palettes is the Lorac Mercari palette. I'll put a picture of it on the screen. And it's not the same shades as this, but I do believe that the shadows overall are more consistent across, like, it is a palette, so it should be consistent throughout the palette, but these, some of them are a little bit more inconsistent than others, so I do think that is maybe where they kind of fall short. But honestly, I think that these overall perform just as well as high-end palettes. I've had high-end palettes where I didn't like the shadows as much as this, so I do think that you get a really good bang for your buck here. I think that if you kind of are wanting to customize what kind of shades you have in your collection and you really don't have that much eyeshadow to begin with, this is a great place to start. If you're looking for like a bridal kind of shade range, the Taupe It Up one is, I think, perfect for brides or bridesmaids or bride guest or wedding guest. I think that this is just the perfect scheme for that. I think that the pigmentation is really nice. I think the blendability overall, besides what I mentioned in the Dancing Green and the Ice Ice Baby, is really nice. I like the metallic shades in the couple that have them, and I really like the shimmer shades with the brush and my fingers. I think overall this is a great collection. I was really impressed, and I'm really glad that Essence did this because it's really broadening the horizon for drugstore eyeshadow palettes, and good ones at that, because I don't think that the drugstore has so many eyeshadow palettes to choose from that are really excellent quality. I think that they try, and there are some really good ones like the Maybelline Nudes of New York and a couple of the other ones that I mentioned in my favorite drugstore makeup overall. But I think that this is kind of broadening the horizon for like brighter shades that are really good. and you're not committing to an entire huge palette. You're committing to like a smaller 6-pan palette, and if you're a beginner, it's easier to kind of, you know, look at a smaller palette and go, oh, I'm not as overwhelmed by 6 shadows as I maybe am 25 or 30 or something like that. So I think this was a great launch idea. I think it's a great collection, and I really, really like it. I think the names are really cute. I think overall this is really impressive, and I like that it's hard plastic and not just like flimsy cardboard or anything like that. I think you're getting a lot for $3.99. Just keep in mind the discrepancies I talked about in the couple of palettes, but overall I think it's a really great collection, and it does compete with higher end, and I'm pretty impressed. So this definitely gets a thumbs up for me. I really like this collection. Anyway, I hope you guys liked this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. Hit the notification bell down below and subscribe to my channel if you're not already. I hope you have a great rest of your day, week, weekend, and all of that good stuff, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!